To retrieve the ball Brian buried years ago, Stewie and Brian used the time machine to go back to the past. Brian found the spot where the tennis ball was buried and was about to dig it up when Stewie stopped him. Stewie told Brian to remember the location and wait until they returned to the correct timeline to dig it up, to avoid changing the past. Brian didn't care, and even said maybe changing the past would be better, like preventing 9/11.
Brian, there's one rule of time travel, and that is, do not alter the past in any way or the consequences could be dire.
As they were about to hide in a room, Brian said he needed to use the bathroom. When he returned, he saw the past Stewie heading back to the room, so they quickly hid. Brian climbed out the window but lost his strength and fell onto Peter's car. After Peter drove away, Stewie used a jetpack to catch up to him. They got back in the time machine to return, but the battery was dead, and they accidentally landed in a stadium in 1999. Luckily, Peter was on a blimp, throwing out cash at the time, so they picked up a lot of money to buy a new battery. Just as they left the stadium, the blimp was shot down. In the crisis, Stewie restarted the time machine and took them to another time. After buying a new battery, they finally returned to the correct timeline. Before they could celebrate, Lois called them to watch TV, saying Brian became a national hero for stopping 9/11, and the news was about to report it.
Brian, what the hell did you do?
I may have told my former self about 9/11.
Wait, when did you even do that?
Well, you remember when I said I was going to take a leak?
Stewie was furious and accused Brian of changing history without permission, warning it would cause unpredictable consequences. Brian didn't care, believing saving 3,000 people was a good thing. However, changing the past did trigger serious chain reactions.
This major breaking news just in. 9 southern states have declared that they are seceding from the United States.
The announcement came from former President George W. Bush.
Okay, that was George W. Bush declaring civil war on the northern states.
Stewie became even angrier and showed Brian the consequences. Brian tried to argue that the world would benefit in 5 years. To prove Brian wrong, Stewie took him 5 years into the future. They found the future was full of war.
What the hell happened? Could I really have caused all this? It says here that the new American Civil War you set into motion ended up in a series of concentrated nuclear strikes all along the eastern seaboard. It killed 17 million people.
To fix everything, they had to return to the moment they first traveled back and stop Brian from mentioning 9/11. The past Stewie saw his future self and immediately realized something was wrong. Brian warned his past self not to say anything about 9/11 or the US would be destroyed. After the warning, Stewie and Brian returned to their original timeline.
There's the writer of the Harry Potter series. Must be weird hanging out with us muggles, huh, Brian?
Yeah?
All right, you obviously have no self-control, so we've got to go back and do this again.
But when they tried to stop their immediately prior selves, they were blocked by a pair from a farther future. That future, Stewie said the past change did not cause serious damage, and stopping it now would create even more chaos. No sooner had he finished than another pair from an even more distant future appeared, aiming to stop the pair from the farther future. Because of repeated time travel and changes, the timeline became extremely chaotic. More and more future versions of Stewie and Brian appeared, all trying to stop their past selves, making things worse. At the critical moment, the original Stewie stepped forward. He demanded all future Stewies and Brians return to their own timelines immediately and stop interfering. After all the future versions left, the original Stewie and Brian started the time machine and went back to before any of it began.
Get the back in your time machine! Who are you? Never mind who I am! Just get back in your time machine, get back to the present, and stay there!
Under Stewie's threat, the future versions could do nothing and had to return to their original times. As the initial change was corrected, all the chaotic branches of the timeline began to collapse, and the world gradually returned to its original path. In the end, the Stewie and Brian who completed the final intervention vanished along with the corrected timeline as the paradox was resolved.